Hello everyone. I wanted to show you how to run a Jupyter notebook in a GitHub repository from Google Colab. Things have gotten a lot easier for running Jupyter notebooks online, and so I thought this might be a nice opportunity to show you guys how easy it is to do. We're going to be following along with this repository here called Sentence Clustering from Documents. This is demonstrating sentence embedding using an open source language model and to do some sentence clustering using those sentence embeddings. You don't need to know a lot about this. Mostly I'm here just to show you how to run a Jupyter Notebook in Google Colab, but this is kind of an interesting application of Python and language models, which have become so popular lately. So if you're running this for an assignment, you want to fork this repository like you have been, and you're going to go to Google Colab, and I put the link right there, so I'll control click that and open up a new link. You might need to log into Google Colab. If you do, I just use my Jupyter or my Google account to log in. And you'll notice that when I come to this address that there is a GitHub tab right here. So you're going to click on that, and then you're going to go back to your repository and click on the repository link down here, and back in Google Colab on the search line you're going to paste that link in and hit enter, and Google Colab is going to look at your GitHub account, and you'll see here's a list of repositories. You want to hit the drop down and go to the repository that has the correct name, and this one is the sentence clustering from documents. So it'll have your account name, and you want sentence clustering from documents. Technically, it'd probably work if you downloaded it from my account, but probably do it from yours. And then once it sees the repository, then you'll get a link to the Jupyter notebook that's in this repository, so you can click on that. And now you'll see that this Jupyter notebook has opened up. On the left-hand side, you'll see some icons, and if you hover over the one that looks like a folder, it says Files. You'll want to have that, and I had already run this before and uploaded this sample document, but in the repository, you'll see a couple sample documents. You want to download those to your computer. I would probably run the sample documents 2 document. I had done the first one. I just made up some paragraphs and copied them out of some Wikipedia pages, but in the second one I actually mixed up sentences from different pages, so I would suggest using this one. It'll be a better demonstration. So to upload those files, you'll click up here under Files, hover, it says Upload to Session Storage, and if you click on that, then you want to navigate to whatever folder has this one, and has your sample data file, and that's where that is. We can hit cancel because I already have that uploaded right there. If you have the sample data folder open and you click there, if you upload a file, you might accidentally upload it here into this sample data, which I didn't do. You'll just want to make sure that the file path, if it's inside sample data, you'll need to have sample data folder with a slash, and you just want to make sure that the sample documents 2 file name matches. Be careful about capitalization and spaces. Notice that I used camel case here and there's no spaces. And then you can go through and run the notebook and start at the top. And it's going to give you a warning. This notebook was not authored by Google. You can hit run anyway. And there's a sample of the data that's inside of that Excel worksheet. And this has just been loaded into a pandas data frame. And this does go through and install some packages. And one of the nice parts of working on Google Colab is you're not working with mixing packages on your own computer. So this went a little faster than it does if you're running this for the first time, because I did try this out once before I'm showing this video. So give it a minute to run, and as soon as it has the green check mark and the play button again, you'll know it's finished. And again, run the next cell down. And technically, I'd already probably run these, and it had been short enough time that this Jupyter notebook wouldn't reset. So I probably didn't need to run these this time around, but I just want to show the installation with you guys. So this is working on something needed by this spacey package, which we're using to split some paragraphs into sentences. And here is the code that I'm going to use to split the paragraphs in the data frame into separate sentences. Creates lists in the cells. And now you'll see where it didn't have lists before. Now you can see there's square brackets there, and these sentences have been split into list items. And now this is going to split and put each sentence in a separate row. So originally we have a document ID and a document text, and now we're going to run this, and it actually put each sentence in its own row. You'll see we have our document ID, and now we have a new ID for each sentence, and we can see which document that originally came from. And we're going to see our sentence IDs there, and that matches these IDs that were put in here. And then we're going to run this, install this sentence transformers package. These natural language processing with large language models has come a long way and got a lot more consumer friendly. So this sentence transformers package really gives you access to some pretty complicated and powerful tools that you don't really have to understand well to still access some of these benefits. And then we're going to run this next part that uses this sentence transformers packages, and we're going to load one of the models. This Hugging Face site here has a number of different models to choose from, and this is one that's been in some demonstrations I've seen, so I use this one. And then we're going to create our embeddings, and what that does is it's taking text, comparing it against the model, and giving us back a numeric vector. I'm not going to go too much into that. You can Google sentence embeddings and find a lot of material online about that, but just know that this is taking our text and replacing it with numbers to do some additional processing. And then we're going to actually go through and do our clustering step here, where we decide it's going to compare these vectors with each other and decide which ones are close. And you can see just this shows you that we're working with numbers now. And when you're doing clustering, a big question comes up of how many clusters do you want to create. These next couple cells actually will print out a little graph this is called using an elbow method to determine the number of clusters that are appropriate. And I know that I created this original group of paragraphs from 3 different Wikipedia sites, so I'm going to end up, you can see where this graph kind of changes trajectory here around 3, and often it's a little more pronounced than this. This is a bit of a contrived example, and the bend is called the elbow in the graph, and that's kind of the point where most of the meaning is separated by those clusters. And so you'll see that comes between 2 and 4, and I know I used 3 different Wikipedia sites to make up this sample data, so we're going to use 3 as the number of clusters. And you'll see I had it as 4 on the sample, so I would suggest you change it to 3, but you can use 4 if you want to. It won't make a big difference. And then we will run that, and these are just the cluster assignments. You'll see 0, 1, and 2. That means there's 3 different clusters here. And I'm going to change this to cluster 3. We're going to add these IDs back to our data frame so that we can get a report out and look and see how things got clustered. And here's an example, and here's our original columns, and we have our new one with our cluster assignments. And that is handy to see this, but I'm actually going to export this to an Excel file so we can download the file and then do whatever we want to in Excel. So this uses the OS module to add a name in there for the original file. And so we're going to create this clusters sample document 2. Just adds the word clusters into the original name so we know it's the final report. And then we can run this last cell. And this one actually takes a couple minutes, and give it a minute or two, and then you should see this cluster sample document 2 file appear over here in the file pane. And once it does, then you can download this file, and I'll go ahead and open this up so we can look at it. And this matches the data frame that we had. I'm just going to enable editing so I can adjust these column widths a little bit, and make these words a little bit easier to read. And then here's our cluster assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and go to data and turn on the filter, so I can sort these into groups. And you'll see that it clustered these sentences. And if you look at this, so this is about computers, 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 and computers. And then the next group are all about cats. And then the last group are all about dogs. So those are the 3 different Wikipedia pages I used, one about computers, one about cats, one about dogs, and I had mixed these sentences into different groups. So the fact that this language model was able to successfully cluster these into similar terms is pretty powerful. We can use Python to work with text and do some pretty impressive things with it. So all of the hype around ChatGPT and large language models is not just hype. There really are some useful things that you can do with these things. So go ahead and upload your final report to your GitHub repository with add file and upload files, and then turn in the link to your repository in Canvas. But I hope that helps you see how easy it is to run a Jupyter Notebook on Google Colab. And if you've got it in a GitHub repository, you can pretty much use it straight from there in Google Colab, and it really is a nice way that you can be working on some Python. So this does not, if we go to the original repository, and if we go look at my original Jupyter Notebook, you'll notice that none of the output is showing here, so this does not change the original Jupyter Notebook. So if you wanted to save this output, you'd probably need to download this Jupyter Notebook to your computer, because it just makes a copy from your repository and then runs on that. But still pretty handy tool. So I hope that's helpful, and you guys have a good night. We'll talk to you later.